Okay, now for the bad bills that passed this legislative session here in Utah. First, they packed the Supreme Court. Importantly, no requests from the court itself and active opposition from the Utah State Bar. The timing is a little suspicious. You may know that recently the legislature has lost a few pretty important cases at the Supreme Court. And so the fact that they would just go around and say, okay, we're just going to change the makeup of the Supreme Court, I think is not very subtle. And on top of that, they also created a constitutional court. So a new statewide constitutional court with judges hand-selected by the governor and exclusive jurisdiction over challenges to state laws. Super strange, and also, to me, not subtle. This is going to be, it's very novel and is going to be the subject of a lot of litigation. Next, we have judicial performance evaluation amendments. This asks the parties in a case to evaluate a judge's legal competence, kind of gives them a review. I think that this is bad because the legislature has been asking them to do things that are illegal. And this says it well, function as a mechanism to build a public record against judges who rule against the legislature. I think that that is dangerous for these judges. Next, we have an anti-voting rights bill. This one creates a two-tier voting system in Utah. So if you can't prove that you're a citizen, even if you are one, then you can't register to vote in state elections. Whoa. Similar to the SAVE Act that's going on in Washington, D.C., this one will make it very hard for married women or people who have changed their last name or people who don't have a passport. This will make it harder for them and make it so that they can't vote in state elections. Next, we have unlicensed driver amendments. This escalates driving without a license or driving privilege card from an infraction to a misdemeanor. Yeah, not good. The more we criminalize these basic things that, you know, maybe everyone deals with, the easier it is for these people to get deported for something really dumb. Immigrants, legal, documented or not, are a very peaceful people. They commit fewer crimes, they're not violent, and I wish that we would stop demonizing immigrants with bills like this. Okay, next, now we have a right of conscience, which is for all healthcare providers, hospitals, insurers, and they can now refuse to provide, participate in, or pay for any healthcare services that violates their religious or moral beliefs. Now, you might look at this and think, well, of course, I don't want them to have to violate their religious or moral beliefs, but there's more to it. The way I believe it's set up now is that there are different hospitals that provide different services. So if you don't believe in providing abortion, then you could go practice at a place that doesn't provide abortions. What this law does is that it makes it harder to know exactly what care you'll be able to receive at any given hospital, because a provider could just say that they don't like that, they're against it morally and not provide it to you. Next, they strengthened Utah's existing ban on gender-affirming hormones for minors by removing the grandfathering provision that allows kids already in treatment to continue. This will mean that people will no longer be able to take the medications that they need, the medications that help them survive. If a parent and a doctor and a kid, and if everyone agrees that this is the best way medically to move forward, I think, you know, who is the government to come in and stop that? I just think, similar to the last one, that for the most part, the state should stay out of restricting care. Next, we have a bill from the Speaker himself. Removes most defense attorneys from Utah's Sentencing Commission and replaces them with more law enforcement. Whew. Eventually, the defense attorneys were restored, but it still removed the juvenile defender and indigent defender from a body that determines how Utah punishes people. So what does this mean? This means that these people that speak for the poor, that indigent, or people who speak for the young, juvenile, they are no longer getting a say in how Utah structures its sentencing or how it punishes people. I just think that this is kind of cruel. Nothing more to say. The next one, now it makes it harder to sue gun manufacturers and sellers in Utah. So now there's an extremely narrow standard for negligent marketing claims. Basically, fewer legal tools for communities harmed by gun violence. I don't like this for a number of reasons. Number one, it blocks claims based on consumer protection. Number two, I don't think that gun manufacturers and sellers should get special treatment. Just because they sell guns doesn't mean that they get to dupe people. Okay, next we have weakening the Utah Fair Housing Act. Now landlords can designate certain shared living spaces as single sex based on biological sex at birth. So this, again, is just cruel. I just think it's cruel to trans people. Like, why Why do this? I don't get it. Next, we removed more legal tools to sue fossil fuel companies. So this one grants fossil fuel companies special legal immunity that no other industry enjoys, preemptively blocking courts from holding them accountable. Yay! Next, water rights amendments. This makes it significantly harder for the public to challenge new water rights by limiting who has standing to protest. So basically, if you think that you have a say in how water rights are distributed, you don't. Now, this one also removes the requirement that the state engineer consider whether a new water right would harm public welfare, recreation, or natural stream environment. Again, another dumb thing. Of course we should require our staff to think of these things. Next, we overhauled Utah's death penalty process to prioritize speed over fairness. I'm against the death penalty, so this is just so bad. It weakens protections for intellectually disabled defendants, it limits court review, and restricts appeals. Bad, bad, bad. Holy cow. Holy cow. I'm just going to read this last part. The body that controls the auditor's budget is cutting off the auditor's ability to investigate the body that controls the budget. There is not a more concise description of what this session was about. Yeah, this legislature just cares about staying in power. They just care about making sure that they can control every little thing. They micromanage everything from education to water rights to literally everything. And speaking of micromanaging, transportation amendments. A state takeover of Salt Lake City streets strips the city of meaningful control over major road decisions and hands veto power to UDOT. So this is the bike lane bill. So now the state can come in and say, no bike lane there, you don't get it. You don't get to have a median here, no traffic calming there. And lastly, we have an anti-DEI omnibus, which expands and hardens Utah's existing bans on diversity, equity, inclusion programs across K through 12, higher ed, and state government. Why are we banning things? I don't get it. My issue with anti-DEI stuff is it's just a ban and it can be applied to things that maybe it shouldn't. Like BYU, if it were a public university, would it still get to have its multicultural center or its Black student union? Does that count as DEI? I just think that it's too broad, and I just think that leave these people alone, leave education alone, let them handle themselves. So yeah, I think generally all these bad bills can be summed up as micromanaging and staying in power. Those are two things that the legislature cares about. They don't really care about helping you, they just care about staying in power and micromanaging things.